McKinley, hail, hail McKinley, hail, hail McKinley, hail. Thy sons and daughters sing thy praise, and loyal serve thee all their days. Alma mater, thee alone we love, and the colors floating high above.
All right, Mr. Lau. Congratulations, congratulations.
Good thing I didn't have to sing the last verse. But I think I should have to use my glasses. Aloha and good evening, everyone. While I was quite surprised and honored when told that I would be receiving this public school recognition, I began to wonder, why me? There are so many others more deserving honorees than I who have attended public schools in Hawaii. Then I thought, well, maybe they wanted to show that public school graduates in Hawaii are just as successful as private school graduates in Hawaii. So I started to compare public high school graduate Danny Lau, private high school graduate Barack Obama, so I immediately gave up comparing. Of course, in reality, public school high school graduates here are way better than private high school graduates. I know that from personal experience, as my children went to private high schools. And anyway, I eventually figured out why I was chosen. They selected me not because I had done anything outstanding, but simply because at 90, I was the oldest living public school graduate in the state. But in all seriousness, my public school education at Mai Central Intermediate and McKinley High School, which at the time was the only public high school in the state, was truly wonderful. The teachers were knowledgeable, dedicated, and fortunately for me, patient. They truly seemed to care about their students and genuinely were concerned that students learn as much as they could. Of course, at the time, my attention was on whether I had enough money to catch the bus from home to McKinley. Bus fare at the time was only 5 cents. But I grew up in a large family without lots of money, so every penny counted. A soda pop was just 5 cents. Come to think of it, every penny, counting every penny is probably what helped me to later oversee and manage financial institutions like finance factors. I now got the comparison I was looking for between public school graduates and private school graduates. Public school graduate, Danny Lau, finance factors. Private school graduates, CEO of Enron. Oh, and Bernie Madoff, too. After graduating from McKinley, I was thrilled to go to the University of Hawaii, which at that time was the only university in Hawaii, and most residents, the only realistic option was going to college. Of course, for me, playing on the UH baseball team and running track were what I loved. Getting my business degree at the UH, however, provided me with nuts and bolts that served me well in my career. When I started out doing everything possible, any financial job one could think of, from insurance adjuster, underwriter, agent, realtor, to appraiser, and to property management. Finally, I ended up at Grand Pacific Life Insurance Company. I tried to be a jack of all trades, but unfortunately was a master of none. Nevertheless, my public school education in Hawaii, from elementary to high school and beyond, taught me the importance of hard work. Perhaps that's why I'm still working today at age 90. When others keep asking me why I don't retire and enjoy relaxing life, of course I suspect some of my colleagues may actually be begging me to retire. Anyway, just after graduating from UH in 1941, I was drafted into the U.S. 298th Infantry Regiment. Soon thereafter, Pearl Harbor attack triggered the United States entrance into World War II, an event that changed the course of my life in more ways than one. Some good, some tragic. I was deployed into the Battle of the Bulge on December 16, 1944, and while eating K-ration with 2 Army buddies, and German 88 bullet came through and exploded in the basement. My 2 buddies were instantly killed, which to this day is a tragic event seared in my memory. I received several shrapnel wounds in my arm and back, but was the lucky one, as I was rescued by U.S. medics who came looking for survivors. The wounds kept me in the hospital for 5 months, but ultimately saved my life, as my injuries led me to eventual release back to civilian life. So what was the good that came out of my involvement in the U.S. Army? Well, before being shipped off to Germany, I was stationed in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania as an aviation cadet in the Army Air Corps. When I asked an acquaintance there, were there any nice girls that I could meet, I was told there was a young woman, Evelyn, who was attending college in Pittsburgh, was the most beautiful Chinese girl in town. When I met her, she turned out to be truly the most beautiful Chinese girl in town. Of course, she was the only Chinese. But seriously, I think Evelyn has become, without doubt, the most beautiful Chinese grandmother in town. And this is Hawaii, which has a heck of a lot of Chinese grandmothers. And this brings me full circle and prove my point again, that public high school graduates are truly the best. My wonderful wife, Evelyn, was a product of public elementary and high school. Better yet, she eventually was a substitute teacher at a dozen public high schools here in Hawaii. She frequently told our family how great so many of the kids were. She thought, for example, that contrary to some then commonly known notions, the kids at parenting were some of the nicest, most well-behaved and respectful students she had ever encountered. Finally, let me close by just providing a big thank you and mahalo for all the public school teachers out there who work so hard every day, using their own money to provide school supplies and demonstrate day in and day out their dedication to enriching the lives of Hawaii public school children. I can only admire their perseverance, especially during these difficult economic times. Keep up the good work. After all, Hawaii's public school children can